Moving forward.
Right now, a future president could be running as a local candidate on your ballot. This person is vying to represent you, your family, and your community. Do you know what they are and what they stand for? Vote411.org is your tool for accurate and unbiased, up-to-the-minute election information on the candidates running in local races. Just enter your address to get started. Your vote is your power, the power to decide who represents you in 2022 and beyond. Get online, get the facts, and make your voice heard on Election Day.
Moving forward.
Aloha.
Hi, Kawika. This is Sergio.
How are you today?
Good. Thank you. I appreciate just your understanding. Just Riley was going to go over. Thank you.
Oh, no worries, bro. I know how I could be at those things. You talk story, you get lost in things. You gotta make sure to connect with everybody. You know, you're only one man. You know, so that's why I give that buffer of an hour. You know, in booking you guys, is that I leave enough space just in case you guys get caught up. You know, kissing babies and everything.
You know, exactly. Yeah. You know how it goes. Oh my gosh.
Shoots. All right, so let's get right into the thick of it then.
Okay.
Could you let everybody know who you are and what office you're running for?
Yeah. My name is Sergio Alcubilla. I'm running for Congressional District 1 to represent Hawaii in Congress.
Right on. So we're doing a little education for the voters, just so they know, you know, how to interact best with their politicians and those in office. And so could you please explain what that office does?
So Congress is at the federal level, so it passes a lot of the laws. Sometimes we think it's so far away out there in Washington D.C., right? But that office are things that impact us at the federal level, from our drinking water, from military defense, just the things that we don't think about every single day. There's so many things out there that impacts our lives from the moment we wake up until the time that we go to bed at the federal level. A lot of the laws that are getting passed there, things that, would impact us, for instance, from early education to providing childcare, things like Medicare for all, finding ways to protect our environment. There's a lot of laws that we could push for at the federal level that would benefit so many people here in Hawaii. But just in a nutshell, we have our state laws, we have our local laws, but it's now the federal laws, and those are things that impacts everyone across the country, not just here in Hawaii.
Right on. So before we dig into your campaign, could you give us a little backstory about yourself?
So just a little bit about myself. I was actually born in the Philippines. I immigrated to this country when I was 7 years old. When I first came to this country, I didn't know how to speak any English. My father was actually a police officer in the military, and my mom was a nurse. when I was 6, right before I turned 7, my dad was actually gunned down by a communist hit squad not too far away from our home. And I can still remember just the sound of gunfire just going off that night, and just really a scary moment for us and our family. And for me to find out the next day that it was my dad that was actually gunned down, that's something that I always remember. But my mom, I have to give a lot of credit to my mom, a lot of props to my mom. At the time she was 5 months pregnant with my youngest brother, but she decided that she was going to try to keep our family together, and she decided to come to the U.S. and she brought me with her. She worked multiple jobs until she could save enough money to bring the rest of my siblings along. So we, growing up, there's 3 boys and 3 girls in our family, and then of course my mom by herself. So just a lot of fun times growing up, but really the challenges of seeing my mom working hard every single day, just trying to make ends meet and making sure that we were provided. I think it's what gave me really that desire to give back. There were so many people that helped me along the way, so many families that helped us and overcome some of these challenges that now that I have an opportunity to be able to pay it forward and to give back. That's what's driven my career in public service. A public interest attorney. I worked for the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii for the last 10 years. So really my focus has been making sure that vulnerable communities and that people can get the help that they need. Everything from legal help to just making sure that their voices are being heard. I'm a board member with Hawaii Worker Center. It's another nonprofit that advocates for low-wage workers. And I just come back from a rally in support of unions trying to ask for respect and fair pay and just to be treated with a sense of dignity. And for me, I'm always going to stand with the working class, families and communities, because that's where I come from and that's where my heart is to serve.
Right on. So let's dig into your campaign. What sits at the top of your campaign as far what are your goals in mind with the office of the Senate?
Yeah. So with Congress, of course, right? I mean, I'm one of 435 people, but my main thing is making sure that we make government and our democracy and our politics work for the people. It doesn't have to belong to just the rich and powerful interests. People with money. It just doesn't have to belong to the lobbyists, but it belongs to everyday people like you and me. People that are struggling every day to make it, working, 2 or 3 jobs, trying to find childcare for their kids, trying to find the best education for their children. Living in a multi-generational household where, our parents and our grandparents may be living with us, making sure that they're taken care of. But those are the type of voices, those are the type of issues and challenges that are being left out of the conversations, that are being left out, at the table where these decisions are being made. We don't need more millionaires in Congress. We need people that know just the struggle of everyday working people, that know authentically just really the challenges that people face. One of the things I'm going to continue to push for is just making sure that the voices of our working families are being heard, right? Making sure that Hawaii continues to be affordable for families that want to stay here and live here. I have 2 young children. I have a 10-year-old daughter, Aina, and an 8-year-old son, Sergio, and they both attend public school. And I'm always concerned, what is their future going to look like 10, 8 years from now when they become adults? Are we preparing them, the best way for them to succeed? Are they going to be able to stay here in Hawaii and find a home and, give back to the community to be able to work here? Just, so many of their friends are moving out. So many of my friends are moving out, and for them, they just feel like it's just not worth it anymore to keep grinding away and just barely making ends meet. So one of the things I'm going to push for, of course, is continuing to raise the minimum wage. We need to make sure that at least at the federal level, that we can at least get it to at least $15 an hour. I'm glad and grateful that our legislature here currently passed a bill to raise our minimum wage to $18 an hour by 2028, but I'm going to push for it sooner at the federal level by pushing for it for 15.
That would be...
second,
That would be, an amazing. That's an amazing thing to hear. For most people who do the math, they understand that, in the more expensive parts of Hawaii, I mean, cost of living's closer to $20. So anything that can bring up that line, in the better, bro.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the hope, and that's really where my frustration was. I just feel like people that are struggling to try to at least make a living wage. It's just falling on deaf ears, and we need to continue to push for it.
Right on. So, what's the you got quite a bit of space left here. What's the biggest thing that you'd like to bring up with your campaign right now?
I'm not taking any corporate back money. We made this pledge that this is going to be a people-centered, people-powered campaign. Right? It's not about corporate interest. It's not about putting their needs of our ultra wealthy above those of everything else. But at the heart of it is just making sure that people at the grassroots level are being helped. And my campaign stands for that. We need to take dark money out of politics. But what distinguishes me from our current incumbent is, I'm not a corporate attorney. I've been an attorney for the people, always advocating for issues that champions, our everyday working people. And that's the type of voice that we need in Congress. We don't need, again, just more millionaires running the show for us, but we need people at the table that understands really what people are going through. But, there's so much work to be done. But all I can say is I'm going to continue to champion all these causes that is meant to help people, not meant to help corporation or corporate interests, but it's meant to help people. And that's what I believe government should be, and that's what I believe our democracy should be.
Right on. So one thing I'm asking all candidates, and that really relates to, what you just said here, is what can the people do to help in that exchange, and not just in the sense of the election alone, but what can we be doing as a community in Hawaii to help make reflections to the federal level that make them listen?
I think the biggest thing is just making sure that we continue to hold our elected leaders accountable. Right? Sometimes we tend to think that they're so far away or so detached from what's going on the ground, but it's really up to us. It has to be a two-way street. Right, in terms of making sure that we hold them accountable to serving the community's interests, to serving the people's interests. And we do that by just being educated on what the issues are first, and then just second is letting our elected leaders know what the issues are that are important for them, and why it's important for them. And I think that's really where it starts. It's just raising that political will, because there's only so much, people can do in terms of, when candidates are campaigning, they'll make all these promises or they'll say all these things, but at the end of the day, it has to be the people that hold them accountable.
Right on. So, how can voters and people in your district follow and interact with your campaign or support you along the way?
Yeah, best thing is just go to my website. It's sergio4hawaii.com, or go on social media, Facebook, Sergio for Hawaii, Instagram, Twitter. That's really just to know where the campaign is and what's going on. And then just second, if you can help support by letting others know that the primary is coming up August 13th, helping family members and friends, making sure that they're registered to vote. You'd be surprised with how many people I've met that don't even know that they need to register to vote, especially if you're 18. I feel like it's part of our responsibility to make sure that our voices are being heard, and you first do that by making sure that you're registered to vote. So whatever people can do to help push that, get your family, your friends register to vote, and then second, just supporting the campaign, either donating or just volunteering. And again, sergio4hawaii.com is really the best way.
Right. So, I'd like to be able to check in with you in about a month, if that's okay, to see how the campaign trail's treating you and developments as we go along. Would that be okay?
Of course, Greg. I'm really here for the people. I'd love to hear more from the community and whatever I can do to make sure that we get the message out. I do want to say here in the first district here in Oahu. Kind of the biggest thing that I want to continue to push for is that we make sure that we shut down the Red Hill fuel tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And when we check back in a month, please, I hope that we've been able to make progress on that. I know our Navy and our Department of Defense has said that they're going to submit their plan in June, but we need to continue to hold them accountable. So when we check in next month, hopefully things have progressed forward so that our drinking water is protected.
Well, I'm not going to completely speak on behalf of the people, but we ain't going to hold our breath. So, I really hope that, this is something that can see, a positive end to it sooner rather than later, lest we end up like Flint, Michigan.
Yeah. And it's just, I just feel like we've done so much damage already, and so much disrespect, I think, to this land and to the people, and then it's time that we start making things right.
Agreed. Well, sir, mahalo for taking the time today to come on air and talk to the people. I absolutely appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Likewise, my pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to be on this space.
Absolutely. We're trying to make sure that everybody gets their chance to be heard. I feel that that's a lot of what's missing on the media side. And as someone who's been working in broadcasting and entertainment for most of my life, I felt it was especially needed back in Hawaii for, just a place for everybody that, a clean, open environment that's not filled with editorial or hyperbole. It's just simple, factual conversation in everyday life. So I'm glad you could be a part of it with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day, sir, and we'll catch up soon.
Take care.
Aloha. Rabbit Holes is a Manava Cow production. This episode was produced by Kawika Hoke and Sarah Rodriguez. Make sure to subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast platforms to add our weekly episodes to your queue.